This is 4 pounds of cleaned and trimmed oxtail. It was actually 5 pounds, but I trimmed off a pound of fat. Whenever you're buying oxtail, try to avoid packs where the pieces look like they came from completely different animals. The color of the meat and fat can suggest differences in age or how the cattle were raised. That usually means different cooking times. I'm seasoning this with salt, black pepper, garlic powder, and a bit of all-purpose seasoning. Then I'm going to give this a thorough mix to distribute everything evenly. Once that's done, I'm going to brown this. Usually we brown in a pan, but I love how efficient browning in the oven is. Or maybe that's just a holdover from my restaurant days, where I would brown multiple thin sheets of oxtail at a time. Oxtail was always a lunch favorite. I love the tray and rack setup. This will go into the oven at 400 degrees Fahrenheit. We're not trying to cook the oxtail through yet. We're just building flavor. We also get to render fat so much more efficiently than if we just use the pan. You might have to flip these a couple times to get even browning, but other than that, this is mostly hands off. That's exactly what you want to see. That meat has nicely browned and you can smell that delicious flavor. Smells so good, I'm almost tempted to eat some, but that meat is still very tough. Collagen and connective tissue make meat tough, but it's also part of the reason why it's so delicious. I've seen people say oxtail tastes just like every other cut of beef. I strongly disagree, but tell me what you think in the comments. The great thing about using a wire rack is that all of that rendered fat is separated. Fat is flavor, so it's not going to waste. In my pan, I'm going in with a splash of that rendered fat. I'm going to use that to saute our aromatics for maximum flavor. Before that, I will add a tablespoon and a half of Jamaican brown sugar. I want this to lightly caramelize in the fat. That's going to add a lot of depth with a very light savory sweetness. Once the sugar is just starting to get frothy, I can go in with a tablespoon and a half of chopped garlic. A tablespoon and a half of grated ginger. That really carries oxtail. One medium diced onion. 2 stalks of chopped scallion. Keep it moving so we don't burn anything. Now we can go in with some dried fragrance spices, starting with a few bay leaves, cloves, and dry pimento or allspice. These will slowly release some very complex flavors throughout cooking and deeply flavor that delicious oxtail. I'm also adding a diced tomato for some acidity and to help with the gravy, and a bit of early heat with some Scotch bonnet pepper. Oxtail takes quite a bit of time to cook. The collagen and connective tissue need long, slow cooking to break down. To speed up that process, we could use a pressure cooker or even leave it in a slow cooker to slowly get there. Once our aromatics have been properly sauteed, we can go in with that browned oxtail. Wow, that smells great. Smells like $1,000,000, and at this rate, that will eventually be the price of oxtail. I bought 5 pounds for $1,500 a pound, and that's on the cheaper end in my area. Also bear in mind that a fifth of that weight was fat that I trimmed. Beef tenderloin is one of the most premium cuts you can buy, and even though the quality varies a lot, I still managed to get local tenderloin for about $1,000 per pound. I might be wrong, and let me know in the comments, but I think oxtail has always been expensive. I don't remember having oxtail much growing up because it was expensive, but I don't remember the gap between oxtail and everything else being this wide. It's crazy how it turned into a premium high demand cut, but let me know, is the price justified or is it just hype? That baking tray has a lot of flavor, so let's get it off. I already poured off all the remaining fat. I'm using water to deglaze, but beef broth would also work really well. That's going to lift up all of those caramelized solids and dissolve a lot of them into the liquid. You would think that beef broth makes a better flavored oxtail, and it does when all things are equal. A heavy focus and proper technique will still give you intensely delicious oxtail even if you skip the broth. I have had oxtail with broth that was mid, and some of the best oxtail I've had use water. The finished dish is really the totality of good ingredients and good technique. You can have all the best ingredients in the world, but if the technique isn't there, the food still won't be that good. Next, I'm going to top that off with water to submerge everything. I'm adding a big splash of dark soy sauce for both color and to play up the savoriness. Soy sauce is also salty, so always factor that in so we can better manage sodium levels. Next up, I have a cup of tomato ketchup. That's going to help us get that luscious gravy, and it adds a bit of acidity. Mix all of that in, and the only thing left is to let it simmer on low until the oxtail is tender. How long that takes will vary a lot based on the quality of the oxtail, but low and slow will give me the best results. Mine took about 90 minutes of cook time to get there. It's not quite fall off the bone tender just yet, but it's not very far. We started out with very different quality oxtail. Some looking more tender than the rest. These surprisingly all cooked up the same. That's not always the case, and sometimes you might end up with meat falling right off the bone while some pieces are still very firm. We're now at that stage where we can wrap this up. I'm adding a cup of diced carrot and a cup of diced potatoes. I'm also adding diced sweet pepper. More Scotch bonnet for aroma and extra heat. The recent consistent rains have been giving me milder peppers. Fresh thyme and only fresh thyme. I'm also using a tablespoon of Old Bay season for that little lift at the end. And finally, I'm adding a can of broad beans. Now, this can be very confusing. Broad beans and butter beans are both used in oxtail, but the thing about these beans is that they are called different names in different regions. In Jamaica, large white lima beans are called broad beans, and this is what I like to use in oxtail and other stews, like tripan beans. They are firmer and hold up well, but still have a very delicious creamy texture. Butter beans are, funny enough, also lima beans. They are generally the smaller types which cook up softer and creamier. I usually avoid this one for stews because it makes them soupy. And to make things even more confusing, fava beans, which is an entirely different plant, is also commonly called broad beans. These are usually green and not as popular in Jamaica. At this point, the meat is fully cooked. So all that's left now is to let this simmer until the veggies are cooked and all those fresh flavors infuse. That's a beautiful, deeply flavorful pot of oxtail. That is tender. Nothing slaps as hard with oxtail as a proper rice and peas. Something about that rich, sweet coconut flavor, fluffy rice, and creamy peas that just pairs perfectly with the deep, rich flavors of oxtail. But there's a reason why I cut those veggies on the smaller side. Pulling oxtail gives us a lot of other options we can play with. I love oxtail with pasta. It's a deeply satisfying starch that complements all of that flavor. If you have a couple pita, toast them up and fill them with our delicious pulled oxtail. I like to add a little lettuce and tomato to give this banger snack some freshness and crunch. This is so good. All that browning we did in the beginning is exactly why this gravy has so much depth. I recently tested this oxtail filling in a classic Jamaican patty crust. I love how that beautiful flaky texture complements the rich, deeply savory oxtail inside. That's a banger. I'm Nick and this has been delicious. Big shout out to our patrons who keep the kitchen cooking. Thank you for watching, and if you want to see how oxtail patty measures up to a classic beef patty, click this video right here.